Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing well and your UPSC examination 2023 went well. Well, I cannot say that it went well because a lot of students are, I would not say complaining about it, but very scared after the exam because so-called elimination techniques and shortcuts did not work. I would want to give you some reality check at this point of time and then we will start with analysis of the paper as well. हम लोग खाली इकोनॉमी सेक्शन का एनालिसिस करेंगे बिकॉज दैट इज़ वेयर माई एक्सपर्टीज लाइज तो इट वुड बी अनजस्टिफाइड आई वुड से टू ट्राई एंड डील विद समथिंग दैट आई एम नॉट गुड एट. तो हम लोग खाली इकोनॉमी सेक्शन तक ही अपना एनालिसिस को लिमिटेड रखेंगे. बट हम लोग पेपर के एनालिसिस से बाइफरकेट नहीं करेंगे, आई मीन डिविएट नहीं करेंगे. वील ट्राई एंड एनालाइज द पेपर एज वेल टू सम अदर एरियाज. पहली चीज़ जो मैं डिस्कस करना चाहूँगा which is a part of reality check that I feel it's high time that we should be discussing it is people and students running after shortcuts, elimination, so on and so forth kind of things. And the problem is not with YouTubers who have started to give these things importance. I would say the problem is with us. The problem is with us as students. अगर आप लोग, if you as students do not give importance to such things, if you as students believe in hard work and being well read, then automatically people who are making such kind of videos will not make any of those videos anymore because आप लोग देखना नहीं चाहोगे. But if you feel that these things are important, if you feel that by using shortcuts you can crack an examination like this, if you feel that by watching elimination techniques you can crack an examination like this, to a certain extent you can, of course, because it is basically being smart, but you cannot rely on it completely and say that elimination techniques are the only source of clearing the examination, though they are not and they will never be. The second thing, so coming back to the first thing, सबसे पहले जो आपको करना है, the onus lies on you, not on me as a YouTuber. Of course, to a certain extent on me as well, but there are so many YouTubers out there, so many teachers out there. मैं सबको कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकता. I cannot tell them what do they do. Everybody has their own mind, their own priorities. So the onus lies on you as students to try and understand कि क्या important है, क्या important नहीं है, what is important to clear the examination and what actually can help me clear the examination. अगर आप रैंडम लोगों को जिन्होंने प्री भी नहीं क्लियर किया है कभी या खाली प्री क्लियर किया है एंड दे बिकमिंग टीचर्स, दे हैव नो एक्सपीरियंस, जस्ट बिकॉज दे आर पॉपुलर यू स्टार्ट फॉलोइंग देम just because they have a name and everybody is following it, him or her, and you also become a part of the crowd, then automatically you're going to hurt yourself. You're not going to hurt anyone else. Okay, so you have to make that decision to find the right focus for yourself. God damn it, this is a UPSC civil services examination. आप ये एक्सपेक्ट नहीं कर सकते कि सरकार या फिर यूपीएससी जैसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल हायर यू जस्ट बिकॉज you used elimination techniques or you used some shortcuts and you cleared the examination. They're not that stupid that they will let that happen. They're going to give you such a coveted and such a responsible post. You will be the DM of an entire district tomorrow. अगर आप ऐसे shortcuts के through exam clear करने लगे, then you will try and use shortcuts there as well. You will not have enough mind or enough maturity to go the hard way. So if you cannot go the hard way right now, you will as well not go the hard way then. They don't want such people and they know how to eliminate such people. You don't know how to use the elimination technique anymore because they understand the psychology of student much more than you as a student do. Okay, so I as a guide, as a person who understands the importance of being well read, doing hard work when it is required, I am telling you, use these techniques when they're required, but they do not rely on these techniques. Because at the end of the day, it is about how much you have read, how much you have understood, how much clarity you have with whatever you're reading, that is going to get through. प्री हो भी जाएगा तो मेंस क्लियर नहीं होने वाला है with these kind of shortcuts. और अब तो प्री भी क्लियर नहीं होगा because they've changed the way they want to ask you questions because they find that everybody is talking about elimination techniques, shortcuts, and सुबह गोभी के पराठे मत खा के जाओ, पनीर के पराठे खा के जाओ. All these kind of random things are happening. So please don't fall into trap of this. The onus, now I'm saying it again, lies on you. The second thing that I want to talk about is also very important, and this is what is going to change the way you prepare for the examination going forward. And this is, there are three aspects to whatever you study. जब भी आप कुछ पढ़ने बैठते हो, there are three things that you have to keep in mind: what, why, and how. Okay, you all must have read about it. You all must have seen a host of videos on YouTube talking about the same thing: what, why, and how. Why is a question of curiosity. The more curious you are, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा you will be asking the question why. And it does help to bring that clarity that you need to understand anything at all. Okay. This curiosity is highest when you're a kid, when you are 4, 5, 6 years old. This curiosity is at its optimum level. But dhire dhire, it starts going down because the society starts telling us, our parents start telling us, because they get fed up asking the why questions. So they start telling us, this is how it is. Aisa hi hai. This is what it is. There is no why behind it. There is no reason behind it. And then we get used to accepting things as they are. Again, when you start preparing for civil services, फिर से आपको बोला जाता है, you're told again, please start asking the question why. So that is something that is well defined and you should keep following it. The second is what. What is it? Operational चीजें जो हैं. That is also very important. What basically answers the question of information. The more information you have in hand, the more what you're able to answer for any topic that you're reading. But the third question, which is how does it work? How is it useful to us? So usefulness. Okay. How does it work? How is it actually applicable in the real environment? Real life situation में इसकी applicability क्या है और कैसे है? That is the question of how that needs to be answered. Unfortunately, because we are so stuck up with the shortcuts and elimination techniques and smartness, etc., instead of using common sense, when that should be the right word, हम लोग भूल गए हैं. We've forgotten how important is the word how important is the question how that should be answered, that you should try and answer whenever you read something. So as you're starting with your preparation again, as you're starting with your mains prep, start asking the question how. Okay. Majority of the questions that I found in this year's civil services prelim examination were catering to the question how. जितना ज़्यादा आपने अपनी preparation में you might have answered the question how or tried to answer the question of how anything works, anything is, you would have found it much easier to crack this question paper. But if you've not done it till now, it's not a problem. Try and start doing it. This is the change in approach that we need as students as well as teachers. So whenever I start with my economy section videos, wherein I will try and teach the entire economy to you guys online for free out here, my approach is going to be to answer the question of how along with what and why. Okay. I might pick up Datin Sundaram, I might pick up Ramesh Singh, I might pick up NCRTs, I might pick up Jatin Singhania Sir's book, I might pick up Jojo Sir's book. तो मैं बहुत सारी books उठाने वाला हूँ and I'll try and make economy as much fun as possible. But it is possible only if we try and answer these three questions: what, why, and how. And the most important question right now is how. तो अगर आपकी preparation का वो part नहीं है, please start doing it. It'll take some time for you to internalize it, to get used to it. ठीक है ना? With this, let us start with the analysis of economy section only. कुछ 15-20 question आए होंगे. Let me just check the number of questions. Very surprising, I did not check the number of questions. Question number 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the section I have. ये वाला मेरे पास booklet test series test booklet series D है मेरे पास. And in this, question number 1, 2, 3, 4 were from economy. 26, 27, 28, 29 were from economy. And then 50 was from economy. And then finally question number 61 to 70 were from economy. तो ये सारे sections questions थे economy से. कितने questions हो गए? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. A total of 19 questions. एक दो questions हो सकता है छूट गए हों. They might be from scheme, so I might not have picked them up. But around 90-20 questions, which is a very big number. एंड फॉर्चुनेटली इकोनॉमी का नंबर इतना ही रहता है हर साल बिकॉज इट्स एन इम्पॉर्टेंट एरिया. इनफैक्ट इवन GS3 मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स स्ट्रगल विद GS3. क्यों? क्योंकि वहाँ पे इकोनॉमी होता है. क्योंकि हम वहाँ पे व्हाट वाई हाउ वी डोंट आंसर दीज 3 क्वेश्चंस, ऑटोमेटिकली वी आर लेफ्ट आउट ऑफ द रेस बिकॉज इन मेंस पेपर दिस इज देयर फोकस. आप क्वेश्चंस उठा के देख लीजिए, यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली अंडरस्टैंड दिस इज व्हाट देयर फोकस इज एंड दे शिफ्टिंग देयर फोकस मोर टुवर्ड्स हाउ नाउ. Okay, they're changing the way they orient their paper, they ask questions, just because students are doing completely opposite, just because coaching institutes are doing completely opposite. Problem क्या है? Problem ये है that coaching institutes are too focused on the result rather than being focused on what the exam is, what the exam demands, and how to increase awareness levels and reading levels of the student. अब अगर आप फोकस ये रखोगे कि यार यहाँ पे स्टूडेंट इकोनॉमी पढ़ने आया है, he should be clear with every aspect of Indian economy and global economy, including some aspects of finance, जिससे कि एग्जाम में कोई भी एस्पेक्ट आ जाए, he has the ability to break it down. Even if he's not able to answer it correctly at times, he has the ability to break it down and not to get bogged down by that question, thinking कि यार ये तो कभी पढ़ा नहीं. And that should not happen. That kind of confidence giving is importance. और वो तभी possible है when your focus is on transferring the knowledge that you have as a teacher to the student who's sitting in front of you and not just focusing on the result कि ये पढ़ लो एग्जाम में आ जाएगा रिजल्ट निकल जाएगा. That cannot be the focus anymore. Okay, with this let us start with the analysis. Question number 1 मैं बहुत तेजी से करूंगा. I will not spend a lot of time on it because ये सब गूगल करके भी आप निकाल सकते हो majority of the things. I'll try and focus on the concept rather than information. Okay, according to MSME Act, the medium enterprises are those in which investments in plant and machinery is between 15 and 25 crore. Purely factual question. Okay, तो ये what को आंसर करने की कोशिश कर रहा है. MSMEs जो हैं उनकी categorization because it was changed recently in 2020. That's why this question has been asked. Very simple. If you've read it in current affairs etc., you should be able to answer this कि ये गलत है. This is an incorrect statement. Okay, all bank loans to MSMEs qualify under priority sector. According to me, this is correct. Now, this is a very deceiving kind of an information because it is giving you an extreme all bank. Again, the shortcuts will not work. Shortcuts आप बोलोगे कि यार shortcut के हिसाब से तो extreme situation है, eliminate कर दो. Not every time. It won't work every time that you want it to work because ये स्टेटमेंट दिस हैज़ बीन पिक्ड अप डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम RBI वेबसाइट. RBI के जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स है वहाँ से उठाया हुआ है, बस उसको थोड़ा छोटा कर दिया बिकॉज देयर हैव टू बी सम कंडीशंस बेस्ड अपॉन विच यू क्वालिफाई एज एन MSME and then if you become an MSME automatically you come under the priority sector. So those conditions have to be fulfilled for you to first qualify as an MSME. But once you're an MSME automatically you come under the priority sector. That's why this statement is completely correct. There's nothing wrong with this statement. Okay. So this is the first question. The answer is option number B. Only 2 is correct, 1 is incorrect. Question number 2 is also from economy only. With reference to central bank digital currencies, consider the following statements. It is possible to make payments in a digital currency without using US dollar or SWIFT system. ये completely correct है. A digital currency can be distributed with a condition programmed into it, such as a time frame for spending it. Now, I think China did it. China's digital currency is programmable to have an expiry date, which means the currency will expire if not used in a certain time frame. Now, this was covered in RBI 247, जो कि मेरी monthly magazine है, which is specifically made for RBI examination. But its relevance is increasing day by day in UPSC as well because ऐसी चीज़ें बहुत सारी आपको UPSC current affairs में शायद miss out हो जाएंगी. Okay, because their focus is more on सिविल सर्विसेज और ये बहुत ज़्यादा सिविल सर्विसेज के डोमेन में नहीं आता है. सो दे माइट टेल यू अबाउट सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसीज बट सम एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ CBDC लाइक द सेकेंड वन विच इज़ मोर टेक्निकल माइट बी मिस्ड आउट. ओके, सो दिस इज वॉट I will try and focus upon. Along with giving you awareness about economy, I'll also try and give you and impart awareness about finance because its importance is increasing. और आपको दिखेगा वो थर्ड क्वेश्चन में बिकॉज इट इज़ अ कम्प्लीटली फाइनेंस ओरिएंटेड क्वेश्चन. फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम दे आस्क्ड समथिंग लाइक दिस. इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ फाइनेंस द टर्म बीटा refers to. A very tricky question. I love this question because for a second even I was confused and it took me some time to figure out what is the best option. whenever you're confused between two options, you have to not ask yourself what is the correct answer. You have to ask yourself what is the best answer out here. Because two answers, two options out here are very, very close. The first can be eliminated. Now, this is a question from finance, और यहाँ पे लिखा भी हुआ है in the context of finance. This is not a question of economy or economics. Economics में बीटा वगैरह का रोल आपको नहीं पढ़ाया जाएगा. Finance में as soon as you start with the basics of finance, automatically it comes to beta. इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि अगर आप बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस करोगे कि ये पढ़ लो और एग्जाम निकल जाएगा, that might not happen. Simultaneously, you also have to focus on what is required to be called or to see yourself as a well-read person in that field, in that area. Okay, automatically your brain will open up and you will try and answer a lot of questions pertaining to how along with what and why. The term beta refers to, now A and B, both of these are incorrect. ये हमें बहुत clearly दिख रहा है. Simultaneously buying and selling of an asset, arbitrage बोलते हैं इसको. An investment strategy to balance risk versus reward, hedging बोलते हैं इसको. So these are completely incorrect. Now there is a doubt between C and D, and that is because they've tricked us by using a word which is systemic risk. Now systemic risk versus systematic risk. This is taught in, again, RBI, because this is what I've been teaching for the last 4-5 years. So I understand that systemic versus systematic. Systemic का मतलब होता है if your company fails, then the entire market or the entire economy, entire system might fail. For example, if SBI fails today, then the entire banking system might fail or will fail. So it's a systemic entity, and the risk it carries is called a systemic risk. Systematic risk, on the other hand, says that systematic risk is that risk which cannot be eliminated because it is not in your control. Okay. For example, if something goes wrong in the US and because of that your company fails in India, then that is systematic risk because you have no control over it. It is completely pertaining to the market, and if something goes wrong there, you will also be affected. That is systematic risk, and that is what is beta. तो यहाँ पे इन्होंने ट्रिक करने के लिए जिन लोगों ने रटा होगा, if they not understood the difference between these two words, these two kinds of risks, then they would go with option C. But instead of using systematic risk, because that is an easy way of eliminating all the other options, they have used another definition of beta, and now they're trying to understand whether you understand the concept of beta or not. Okay, a numeric value that measures the fluctuations of a stock to changes in the overall stock market. Overall stock market is fluctuating. With that, what is the level of fluctuation in your share? It's the same as saying that something went wrong in the US, and because of that the stock of or the shares of your companies are going down. That is what is beta. Okay, उसी को इन्होंने definition change करके they've mentioned it here like this. Instead of directly telling you it is a systematic risk, they've given you the meaning of systematic risk, and now they're asking you what is beta. Okay, so the answer to this question is option number D and not C. This was a very beautiful question, beautifully crafted question, because मुझे ऐसे क्वेश्चंस देख के ट्रिप आती है तो मुझे बड़ा मज़ा आ रहा था ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को देख के कि यार यहाँ पे ट्राइंग टू चेक द कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट. ओके, नॉट ओनली अबाउट व्हाट बीटा इज बट हाउ बीटा वर्क्स. यहाँ पे वो चेक हो रहा है बिकॉज दे आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड वेदर यू अंडरस्टूड हाउ बीटा एक्चुअली वर्क्स इन डिफरेंट सिचुएशंस इंक्लूडिंग द स्टॉक मार्केट. वो यहाँ पे चेक कर दिया उन्होंने. ओके, if you have just followed what beta is, you might not have been able to answer this question because वहाँ पे systematic में mix हो जाता थोड़ा बहुत आपका. Question number 4 पे आते हैं. Again, a conceptual question. देखते हैं. This is where the difference between a well-read person, well-read student, and a student who is more reliant on shortcuts, more reliant on reading whatever comes his way, that is checked here. ये मैं आपको बताता हूँ कैसे. The question is, the self-help group program originally initiated by SBI by providing microcredit to financially deprived. In a self-help group, all members of the group take responsibility, technically called as joint liability group, and it is a part of self-help group program for a loan that an individual member takes. The RRBs and scheduled commercial banks support self-help groups. देखो भाई, पॉइंट नंबर 3 तो लॉजिकल है, ऑफ कोर्स, बिकॉज सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स आर प्राइमरली फॉर रूरल एरियाज. दैट इज वेयर दे ओरिजिनेटेड थ्रू ग्रामीण बैंक in Bangladesh. The regional rural banks and commercial banks are going to support self-help groups, especially the regional rural banks, because RRBs also work in rural areas. So this is conceptual. If you've understood the concept of self-help group, automatically the concept of RRBs and scheduled commercial banks being responsible and supporting self-help groups will become very easy to understand. The second is, in a self-help group, all members of a group take responsibility for a loan that an individual members take. That is the concept of a self-help group. Self-help group. It's a group wherein some people, especially women, come together and they say, we want to start with this business. So let's go as a group and take a loan. If anything goes wrong, all of us are responsible, not an individual. And all of us have a responsibility to give back this loan, pay our own share. That is what a self-help group is. So if you've understood the concept of self-help group, it's easy actually to say that point number 2 is correct. Okay, let's come to point number 1. This is not trying to ask you what a self-help group is or what comes under self-help group, how did it start. All those things are not responsible, not important here. Why? Because what is a self-help? The concept of self-help group was started at a national scale. Okay, it was introduced by a regulator into the country and then adopted by different banks. That is how these kind of programs work. For example, central bank digital currency, CBDC. अब वो कोई बैंक इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं कर सकता है. It is the RBI that has introduced it because it's a digital currency. Similarly, regional rural banks created as a separate entity by the government. Okay, supported by the RBI. Similarly here, because this is pertaining to rural areas, तो इसमें क्या इन्वॉल्व होना चाहिए था? NABARD should have been involved somewhere or the other. Now this is about being well read. If you feel that you've read enough of economy to be able to make those connections, you can believe in yourself. आप वो कर सकते हो. And this is what I saw when I read this statement for the first time. I was like, something is wrong here. Why? Because SBI should not be introducing something like self-help group in India. Some regulated entity must have been responsible for introducing something like self-help group, and that is what happened. Self-help group was initiated by NABARD, not by State Bank of India. Why would a bank do it? Because it's a responsibility for them. It's actually loss making for them. It does not give them enough profits because the defaults are higher at times. The cost of reaching out to these groups is higher. Okay. तो अगर आपने इंडियन बैंकिंग सिस्टम की हिस्ट्री पढ़ी है, यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट बैंक्स शाई अवे फ्रॉम गोइंग इनटू रूरल एरिया, स्पेशली शेड्यूल्ड कमर्शियल बैंक्स. So why would they do it? When they don't want to do priority sector lending, why would they do this? Therefore, NABARD is the option here. NABARD was responsible for introducing it, and then they told all the banks, "Why you have to do it in your dedicated areas. इतना आपको करना ही करना है." Okay. Therefore, option number 1 is incorrect. So only 2 are correct. Option number B is the right answer here. Only 2. Okay. Let's come to question number 26. See, my objective here is not to give you the right answer and the wrong answer. My objective here is to tell you how to approach going forward. And if you're feeling कि भाई अब अच्छा नहीं गया, 70, 75, 80 आ रहे हैं, I should not be right. I will not be able to write mains this year. So what do? I would suggest please get rid of those issues, number 1, those doubts, number 1. Why? Because if you're getting somewhere above 70, you might have a chance. Nobody knows what the cutoff is going to be. It's completely relative. What if you get that chance? After 1 month, you don't want to tell yourself, यार 1 महीना वेस्ट कर दिया, इससे अच्छा तो पढ़ाई कर लेते, मेंस की तैयारी कर लेते, अभी प्रीलिम्स क्लियर हो गया. Now in the next 2 months, it's virtually impossible for me to cover everything for mains. You don't want to regret in that situation. And the best way of not being in that situation is to start your preparation immediately. अभी start करो, prepare for the next 1 month, result आएगा तब देखना यार. Okay, if you're getting above 70, you have a good chance. Worst case scenario, you don't get selected, you don't get through prelims. You've not wasted this 1 month. Use it well so that you're ready for the next year, not only prelims but also mains. Because आपका objective pre-clear करना नहीं है. You don't have to prove to somebody that you can clear prelims. Your objective is to become a civil servant, and that is possible only when you clear prelims, mains and interview. तीनों clear करोगे तभी बनोगे ना. right? So prepare for that. Prepare for mains with an open mind. Prepare for interview with an open mind. Okay? Do not bind yourself in this 1 month by saying that, what if I don't clear? I would have wasted this 1 month. A well-read person or a person who's hungry for knowledge, hungry for more and more awareness, will never think that I've wasted on my studies. You would always gain something new through your studies. That should be the approach for the next 1 month. Then you have to target it. Yaar, mains ki tayari ke liye, these are the things that I have to cover. Let's make a plan and decide how to cover it. Okay, I hope that clarifies. Question 26 इस पे उठाते हैं. Now this was a very I would say informational question, factual question था. यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा बताने के लिए या बहुत ज़्यादा logic लगाने के लिए कुछ भी नहीं है. You either knew it or you did not know it. And that's fine. They have a right to ask that kind of questions. Switzerland is one of the leading exporters of gold in terms of value. Switzerland has the second largest gold reserves in the world. You might be able to include statement 1 saying that statement 1 to correct hai, but eliminating or including statement 2 is a difficult task. You don't know if it is the second largest or the 6th largest, 7th largest. We don't know that. If you've not read it, then it's very difficult to take this guess. And I would not recommend कि आप ऐसे informational questions में ज़बरदस्ती कोई ना कोई तुक्का मार के आओ. Please don't do that. Okay. Question 27. So the first is correct, second is incorrect. I hope आपने अभी तक इंटरनेट पे देख लिया होगा. I don't want to get into that detail. Question 27. Recently, USA and European Union have launched Trade Union and Technology Council. USA and European Union claim that through this they are trying to bring technological progress and physical productivity under their control. Now, what message do I want to send through this question? It's very, very simple and very clear. They've also not only focused upon what Trade and Technology Council is, they've also focused on how does it work. Okay, why has it been created? The second question, second option is particularly about why has it been created. Okay, trying to bring technological progress, physical productivity under their control. That is their focus in the second option. तो खाली what से काम नहीं चलेगा, how और why पे आना पड़ेगा आपको. Only then you will be able to track these kind of questions. और ये factual questions ऐसा नहीं है कि they are focused upon pushing you towards mugging up these kind of things. You should be aware about what a Trade and Technology Council is. You should be aware about how does it work and why is it created. ये तो आपको पता होना चाहिए. Okay. Tomorrow, let's say you're working in the External Affairs Ministry. तब सीखोगे क्या? You should have some idea about it. That's what they expect from you. And they're right in expecting that. Okay. Question 28. India accounts for 3.2% of global export of goods. Question number 28. Yes. And many local companies and some foreign companies. मैंने यहाँ option D डाला है. D is correct. Yes. India accounts for 3.2% of global export of goods. This is wrong. It was somewhere around 2.1%. If I'm not wrong, 2022 1.8 to 2.1%. बहुत मुश्किल है इसका डेटा मिलना. And this is again a factual part of the question. Option 2 जो है वो आप देख सकते थे, वो बोल सकते थे looks like a right option. Why? Because PLI, production linked incentive, very important scheme, something that has pushed India's manufacturing post COVID to a very large extent. यहाँ पे confusion जो हुआ students में वो ये हुआ whether foreign companies operating in India will be able to take advantage of it or not, or can take advantage of it or not. The answer is yes, they can, because अब यहाँ पे objective आपके सामने clear होगा तो it will be easier for you to answer this question. If you know what is production linked incentive scheme, how does it work, what is the objective, why has it been created, then you can say whatever foreign companies operating in India, if more and more foreign companies operate in India and take advantage of production linked incentive scheme, there's nothing wrong with it. The objective of PLI scheme is still being fulfilled, so why not? Therefore, there is no point in eliminating or saying to foreign companies that you cannot take advantage of PLI. The government would not do that because that would defeat the purpose of the PLI scheme itself. Okay, that is why statement number 2 is correct. It's common sense. If you have a good idea about PLI scheme, automatically you can answer the second part of the question. The first part, of course, was difficult. If you've not read it, and if you have some doubt about these numbers, then it is on the difficult side. Stability and Growth Pact of European Union is a treaty that limits the level of budgetary deficits. Because Stability and Growth Pact was created after the Maastricht Treaty in 1997. This was created in European Union. तो ये बहुत क्लियर है, इफ़ यू रेड अबाउट ग्लोबल हिस्ट्री ऑफ ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी, ये बहुत क्लियर है कि उस टाइम पे देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ फोकस अपॉन कंट्रोलिंग द बजटरी डेफिसिट्स बाय यूरोपियन यूनियन, क्योंकि डेफिसिट्स बहुत बढ़ गए थे. So they wanted to control it, so they kept coming out with different pacts, because that was after a long time that a union had been created of that kind. So the first thing they wanted to do was control their fiscal deficits, primary deficits, revenue deficits, all those kinds of deficits. So therefore option number 1 is correct. But option number 2, sharing infrastructure and sharing technology, these are incorrect, क्योंकि the only objective of Stability and Growth Pact, Maastricht, and various other pacts that came at that time was only focused on budgetary deficits, different kinds of deficits that these countries were experiencing. Okay, तो यहाँ पे confusion जो मुझे भी हुआ था when I read this question was, what if in Stability and Growth Pact these two or any of these two has been now included to expand the scope of Stability and Growth Pact? That's why I would say it's a difficult question. It's not an easy question, because Stability and Growth Pact has been in news since 2020. There have been a lot of meetings and changes happening around Stability and Growth Pact. इसलिए इस क्वेश्चन को डायरेक्टली आंसर करना नॉट अ वेरी इजी जॉब. ओके, क्वेश्चन नंबर 50 पे आते हैं. तो ऑलरेडी काफ़ी लंबा हो गया है, सो आई डोंट वांट टू बोर यू विद मोर क्वेश्चंस, बट लेट मी ट्राई एंड आंसर क्वेश्चन नंबर 50. And we can pick up question number 61 to 70, या फिर मैं पोस्ट में डाल सकता हूँ. Okay, I hope with these questions you are able to understand the objective of this session. The objective of this session is not to give you the right answer, because so many people are doing it, so many coaching institutes are already doing it. मैं कोई तीर नहीं उखाड़ लूँगा वो करके. But I want to tell you what is the change in orientation of UPSC and how do you transform yourself. How do you change the way you study in order to align with that kind of orientation. If you are able to answer what, why, and how in everything that you read, automatically it's going to be much easier for you to excel at your examination. Okay, if you just try and use shortcuts, कि ऐसे कर लूँगा, elimination से कर लूँगा, being smart is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Use your common sense, but at the same time, don't dumb down on your knowledge part. ऐसा नहीं कर सकते आपकी नॉलेज कम कर गई, कॉमन सेंस बढ़ा दी और वहाँ से क्लियर नहीं हो पाएगा. ओके, G20 was originally established as a platform for finance ministers and central bank governors. Very expected question, bhai. G20 meet presidency of India. What else? Okay. Digital public infrastructure is one of India's G20 priorities. Again, very simple. India has always been, since post-COVID, focused on digital. And it is specifically mentioned in PIB also. PIB में स्पेसिफिकली एक डॉक्यूमेंट आया था रिसेंटली जिसमें मेंशन किए गए इंडियाज प्रायोरिटीज. तो दिस वाज आई बिलीव अ वेरी एक्सपेक्टेड क्वेश्चन. ये गलत किया है मतलब आपने पढ़ा नहीं है, यू हैव नॉट रेड थॉरली, एंड इफ यू हैव नॉट रेड थॉरली देन हाउ कैन यू एक्सपेक्ट, just based upon common sense, just based upon smartness, just based upon using shortcuts to clear the exam. Okay, तो ये एक रियलिटी चेक है जो मैं आपको देना चाहता हूँ. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू डू दैट विद योर सेल्फ. सिट विद योर सेल्फ फॉर द नेक्स्ट 6-7 days. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो छुट्टी मनाने चले जाएंगे. There's nothing wrong with that. But wherever you go, instead of diving into Goa's beaches or instead of going into the Himalayas and enjoying the drive, do one thing. Stop reading and start introspecting. अपने आप से पूछो, if anything went wrong, what was it? Was I focused on garnering as much knowledge as possible with the right focus of clearing the examination? Number one. Was I answering these 3 major questions, what, why, and how? Was I doing it enough? If not, then how do I start doing it now? Okay. ऐसे questions अपने आप से पूछो अगले 7 दिन के लिए, instead of just trying to chill out and have fun. Introspect a little. This will give you a lot of energy for the next 3 months. At least for the next 1 month. That should be your aim. जब तक रिजल्ट आएगा तब तक आपको पढ़ना ही पढ़ना है. यू हैव टू फोकस ऑन मेंस. अगर आपके बहुत ही कम नंबर हैं, 20-30 नंबर हैं, देन ऑफ कोर्स यू नो दैट यू आर आउट. बट इफ़ यू गेटिंग समवेयर अबव 70, आई थिंक यू शुड गिव इट अ शॉट. कुछ खराब नहीं होगा आपके साथ. 1 month में इफ़ यू फोकस ओनली ऑन मेंस एंड कवर एटलीस्ट your optional or 2 GS papers, I think you will be in good hands. Okay, that will give you energy, that will give you confidence. If not this year, then next year, whatever you study in this 1 month will help you. Okay, so with this, let me come to an end to this session. I'm very, very sure that it was helpful. कुछ students को तो कुछ फ़ायदा होगा ही. That is my hope. With this, let's close it up, and I will see you once again. We'll try and start with something related to economy because that's going to be my focus. और हो सकता है कुछ इकोनॉमी में चेंज करके अच्छे से हम लोग पढ़ पाएँ. ऑल द बेस्ट गाइज, टेक केयर, बाय बाय.